Time passed and things changed, reverting back to our daily program, stuck in our ways. Drones.
Hide and Seek TV. I'm about to get ready to do a very deep breakdown, y'all. And this one right here is gonna be one for the ages. And I'm about to actually break this down on a level that's deep, y'all. And what I want to talk about, as we already know in the book of Daniel anyway, as it's written, that the enemy changes the times, man. And what I'm about to tap into is very deep because if you notice, you already know Texas, like I already mentioned, a lot of my videos on the Texas, all my Texas breakdowns is on my channel. Check them out. How Texas represents nothing but the space city. You know what I mean? Basically, pay attention to how it's the Lone Star State, aka the bright morning star, representing nothing but the aspect of Messiah. You know what I'm saying? And what's so deep is how Texas, when it went through the shutdown, you remember, like, basically the winter storm that just happened. Remember that it had the blackout, representing nothing but the powers of heaven being shaken symbolically. Because like I already said, we are in spiritual Egypt, spiritual Babylon, and spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah. But what I'm about to do is I'm about to tap real deep into this, y'all. And I want y'all to see this because when you know what's so deep about that, and what tripped me out is it's like we literally went through like a reset. And I'm looking at like we like in the early 2000s, man. And in 2012, we're like playing all of this stuff like we going through like a repeat. Notice how a lot of people are losing energy. People mentally are drained. You know what I mean? With all the stuff that happened because remember we had the big shutdown and the whole aspect of being not able to travel as you will. You know what I mean? Not being able to do what you want to do in your human right because of restrictions. I'm gonna put it like that. Do the flags. But basically, I automatically thought about the hyperbolic time chamber. If you remember Dragon Ball Z, remember the hyperbolic time chamber. Remember they'll fight in the hyperbolic time chamber, and they'll be there for a year, but really be like one day, on Earth, but it'd be like 1 year for them. And what I thought about is how we just went through that whole aspect, and now they're talking about reopening. You know what I'm saying? But what I noticed too, which is so deep, because in the hyperbolic time chamber, air is like way more denser, so basically it's harder to breathe. And you know how we're traveling dimension. This is like going through a sense of basically shifting dimensions, man. Portals is what they're opening up. And when you look at this, which is so crazy, because I automatically thought about the airplane with the oxygen mask. You know what I'm saying? Like in a state of emergency, basically, you have to wear the mask to be able to breathe. You know what I mean? And I thought about that on this level, man. How we're literally undergoing like a great shift in time, like a great reset. You know what I'm saying? And notice, like I said, how Elon Musk is already talking about that he wanna make a new space city in Texas, basically call it the Star Base. He want to open a city and call it the Star Base. And it's the guy that plays on the movie Mud. I'm gonna show him in a little bit. He always on the commercials with the Buick and everything. He's talking about becoming a governor for Texas. You know what I'm saying? Running for a political position out in Texas. But what I noticed to really prove my point, y'all, hint the whole aspect of what you're gonna do when the grid goes down. This came out a few months before the whole Texas situation by Public Enemy. Remember when I had put that in my Texas breakdown, part 1. So what I'm about to do is really delve deep, because what I noticed, y'all, which is crazy, is how and it got me thinking, is how what happened. You remember we had the them talking about they want to go to Mars, that they went to Mars. Even though we already know NASA don't mean nothing but deception, it's all fake, but it's the energy that they're utilizing. And when they say they're going to Mars, basically that represents nothing but the aspect of rulership. Out of chaos come order. You get what I'm saying? So that's why they said that during the time of, everybody being under restriction and not being able to do anything, because they literally were enforcing the new world order. That's what the whole aspect of them talking about I'm going to Mars was about. You know what I mean? It's more than just knowing it's fake. It's about why they're saying it. You know what I'm saying? And I went back. You remember back in 2002, and I was talking about how we literally are living it all out again. Back in 2002, remember George Bush had signed the farm bill. I think it was like $190 billion or something like that, to basically like strengthen the farm economy and everything of that nature. And when you notice that, when I automatically thought about that, which is crazy, because Bill Gates now just, basically is the #1 farmland owner. I got a video on him when I talk about like basically the whole aspect of Bill Gates. It's deep into my channel. But you got like this stuff is all adding up. And how George Bush was a governor for Texas. He was the 46th governor of Texas. You know what I'm saying? And how Biden is the 46th president. You know what I mean? Come on, man. It's something like it's all of this stuff is like a big repeat. And I'm gonna delve even deeper into it, y'all, because what I noticed too, which is crazy, back in 2002, remember the Lakers played the Nets, and they had that three-peat. They won 3 championships in a row, and they beat the Nets. You know what I'm saying? And you notice this year, Lakers and the Nets are the favorites to go to the finals and play against each other. You know what I mean? Notice a lot of these teams that was like good back then are now in power now. You know what I mean? Like just pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got teams like the Jazz, you know what I mean? The Mavericks is back up there. A lot of these teams, Denver, you know what I'm saying? I'm just throwing them out there. Philly, especially Philly. You know what I mean? But just pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to do is I want to go into the DC Snipers, because remember back in 2002, actually a couple of months before the NBA Finals, they had played. I mean, they had this whole situation going on. Remember, they was killing people out in DC for 3 straight weeks, all throughout the DMV area. They was just killing everybody. And at the time, John Allen Muhammad, which was the leader, he was 41, and then Lee Boy Mavo was 17. Now Kobe, you remember he dies at 41. Even though we know the whole situation with Kobe, he dies at 41, and he got drafted at 17. So notice that whole parallel, y'all. You feel what I'm saying? And then notice how the DC Sniper situation happened, and then we had the Capitol Hill riots. You know what I mean? Pay attention to that, y'all. Pay attention to this. It's like I said, it's like a great reset we're undergoing. You know what I'm saying? And I want to get back at that because, like I said, for 3 straight weeks, they were killing. Remember? And then you remember, like I just mentioned, the Lakers won 3 straight titles. How that all connected to Kobe Bryant with the 41 and 17. Like the 41-year-old John Allen Muhammad, and then the Lee Boyd was 17. Kobe drafted at 17. Character dies at 41. Then you got the 3 straight weeks of the Lakers. I mean, he had the 3 straight championships, and he ended up beating the Nets. You know what I'm saying? And you remember the DC Snipers was all based on remember he said that he was influenced by the Matrix because they felt they was basically overthrowing the system. You know what I mean? But when you look at that too, which is so crazy, is because remember Neo's passport had expired on 9/11/2001. And when I thought about that, notice how in 2001 we underwent that great shift with the whole aspect of the 911. So the whole way you can travel and stuff changed. Hence how that's doing that now, where you can't travel unless you basically can prove that you're able to go beyond the restrictions by saying you got the doses. I'm gonna say it like that. But this is literally like a simulated reality, man. This stuff is crazy. You know what I mean? And like I said, as it's written in Daniel, that the enemy changes the times. And then notice how in 2009, John Allen Muhammad, he had got executed in 2009. And then Kobe won his first title by himself in 2009. You know what I'm saying? He didn't have Shaq. And I'm going to delve deeper into this because the Lee Boyd, the one that was 17-year-old, he had got 6 consecutive life sentences without parole. You get what I'm saying? Pay attention to that, man. The whole aspect of the 6, you know what I mean? And when you look at that, remember Kobe wore 24 after the whole situation later on when he became his own man. Without Shaq, he wore number 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. So I just want to touch that and pay attention to how we literally undergoing that great reset, because back during that time too, you remember you had the winter storm Diana that was, it was a bad winter storm that affected like Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and Texas. And what happened this year? You had the winter storm that affected those same areas. Basically the same areas. Especially Texas got it the worst. You know what I'm saying? And you remember back in 2003, you had the blackout that lasted for a few days, sometimes a week, or depending on where you was at. What happened? Remember I just said we had that blackout in Texas. You know what I mean? And remember back in 2002, you had the big SARS outbreak. What's going on now? I'm going to leave it at that. You feel me? Remember Shaq in 2002, Kobe was like, oh, Shaq kept getting them injuries. Remember that on the Lakers? And he said that hurted their dynasty. What's happening now with the Lakers? LeBron is playing. Anthony Davis is getting hurt. You feel what I'm saying? And remember back then, too, you had that big conjunction between Mars and Saturn back in 2002. You know what I mean? And you remember that I was talking about this year, you had the conjunction with Jupiter and Saturn. I'm actually going to do a Debo video. I'm going to put that up because I got info on that. I need to bring that out. I'm going to put that up. But when you look at that, too, the Saturn and the Mars merging, what happened this year? Saturn merged with Pluto. In 2020, it merged with Pluto, and this year it merged with Jupiter. And then you already know, like, that represents, like I said, Mars represents the rulership. Hence why they say they're going to Mars or have been to Mars. 2002, you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the Super Bowl. You remember that? They beat the Raiders. What happened this year? Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl. Like, we're literally undergoing nothing but a big simulated reality, man. And I'm going to go deeper into it as well. Remember back in 2002, Lennox Lewis had fought Mike Tyson out in Memphis, Tennessee, and they fought at the Pyramid Arena. Now, what's so symbolic about that is that when you understand Memphis, like I said, we are in spiritual Egypt. That's why last year, what was it? Roy Jones versus Mike Tyson. Remember they did that return fight? But basically, when you pay attention to this, you know about Memphis and AKA Memphis, Egypt, man. That's why the Nile River runs like right through Memphis. And then in Memphis, Tennessee, you have the Mississippi River. You know what I'm saying? That whole aspect of the pyramid. This whole fight, that whole name Lennox anyway, Lennox don't mean nothing but the elm tree. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get real deep on this. And all the elm tree symbolizes like basically bringing order out to chaos. You know what I mean? And when you look at that, that's the Messiah role, because Mike Tyson, all Mike Tyson's name means, Tyson don't mean nothing but the high-spirited. He basically playing like he had that whole aspect of the role of like the Antichrist. You know what I mean? That's why they call it the Rumble on the River, man. Because Lennox Lewis, like I've been breaking it down about the Lewis Stone, all Lewis represents is nothing. It's basically the Lewis machinery that the Masons use is to lift up stones. It's called the Lewis. And then you already know, as I already said, that the Messiah is the cornerstone of this world. He's the rejected stone that the Masons, aka the builders, reject, as it's written in Matthew 21:42. You know what I mean? That's why this fight happened, the Royal Rumble on the river. You know what I mean? Because it represents, like it's written, that the Most High is going to call his people out of Egypt again, man. The Messiah would come through Egypt again. We are in spiritual Egypt. You get what I'm saying? Like, pay attention to that. That's why Lennox Lewis dominated Mike Tyson in that fight. And representing fighting at the pyramid, because as it's written, Satan already said that he would exalt himself high. That's why the top cap of the Illuminati pyramid has no space. And you see the all-seeing eye, because he's basically saying that he will rise above the Most High. You know what I'm saying? I had broke this down on a box breakdown video when I was talking about what the pyramid represents, man. That's why when you use the food pyramid, the bread is at the bottom, but the oil is at the top, because as it's written, man should not live by bread alone, man. That's why it's at the bottom, and the top is the oil representing the great anointing. You feel what I'm saying? But like this stuff right here is that deep, y'all, and I really want to touch on that, and I'm about to take it even further, because when you look at 2001 in military time, it's 801. And then when you look at 2002, it's 802. And then when you look at 2021, it's 821. And then 2020 would be basically 820. You know what I mean? But when you look at the 2 zeros in the aspect of 2002, when you look at the 2 zeros, it's just like 2020. You know what I mean? I'm actually going to show that right quick. Notice like the 2002 and then the 2020. Notice the swap. You know what I mean? And the whole aspect of 2012 too with 2021. And I think they said that the man who made the movie 2012 has dyslexia. And I think that he wrote it backwards or something they said like that. You know what I mean? But I really want to get back to the whole aspect of the 2001 being 801 and 2002 being 802 in military time. And then 2021 being 821 and then 2020 being 820. But when you understand, like I said, I've been doing this, when you look at the clock, the number 8, which is deep, man, the number 8, when you look at that, the number, like, 8 o'clock will basically be like at like the chin, the cheeks of the Baphomet, man. You know what I'm saying? Just pay attention to that. It'll basically be like almost like jaw area, cheek jaw area. And then when you look at it too, the 5, which is being basically the 20, will be like at the jaw. You know what I mean? Like basically at the mouth. Pay attention to that, man. Like that's some deep stuff to make you think. You know what I'm saying? So look at what's going on with this. You feel where I'm going? And I just want to really show that, because that right there, that's some deep stuff, man. It really is. Videos right quick, because this is the Spectrum commercial that came out last year, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to chime on in.
Yeah, but nationwide 5G, and I'm saving 40%? Come on. Oh, almost forgot. I figured out time travel, so we're going to get nuts later.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile.
Listen to it. But nationwide 5G, and I'm saving 40%? Come on. Oh, almost forgot. I figured out time travel, so we're going to get nuts later.
Switch to Spectrum Mobile, get 5G nationwide.
Yeah, she said she figured out time travel. And then notice through 5G technology. Notice why 5G came out in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, I was already talking about the whole aspect of the 5 points of the Baphomet. You know what I mean? The 5 points of the Baphomet, man. AKA the Vitruvian man. You feel what I'm saying? When you really pay attention to that. The Vitruvian man wasn't nothing but the Leonardo da Vinci aspect of making the God man to rebel against the Most High. That's all it represented. But pay attention to this. They dropped this commercial too with the Alice in Wonderland with the rabbit who was always late and getting stuck in time. That's why I had made that video talking about how, Trayvon Martin happened in 2012. That's why they had the iced tea and Skittles, because that represents nothing but basically freezing us, making us lost in time. And the Skittles represented nothing but the colors of the soul. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Remember you had the iced tea fight that just happened. What was that, December? And remember when I was talking about the Twisted Tea. I'm so sorry. The Twisted Tea represent that the tea has been stirred. You know what I mean? And it's literally representing nothing but us going back and being warped in this time loop. But pay attention to this.
I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. I'm really in a stew. No time to say goodbye. Hello, I'm late.
See that? Because he was lost in time. That was his punishment. Pay attention to this. Because when you understand the rabbit anyway represents, that's why they do the Easter like to mock. The rabbit anyway represents nothing but the Messiah. Basically, because it represents nothing but the fertility. And it represents nothing but the Messiah. Hint the whole aspect of the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? And when you understand the aspect of the Orion, Like everything is basically like a mockery of the Most High and His creation, but basically how they try to make it where like the Orion died by the scorpion because he was trying to kill the rabbit. He was trying to basically defeat the rabbit hole, the mighty hunter. You get what I'm saying? The stuff goes deep, man. But I'm gonna play this too with Deja Vu. You remember on Deja Vu, the lady was already dead in reality, but within the machine, within the technology, she was still alive.
Is she alive or is she dead?
You went to her funeral,
I know
dog.
that, but I think the question still applies. Is she alive or is she dead?
All right, life, like time and space, is not merely a local phenomenon.
All right! All right, I tell you what. PhDs in the room can understand. Now, the monitor is broken. It's dead. It is not temporarily transitioned to another state of entropy. It's dead. Right? Now, is she alive or is she dead?
She's alive.
All right.
You see that? She was dead in reality, but she was alive inside the technology. That's why they've been showing us a lot of these movies always with the time loop, because they're altering time. Pay attention to this. Don't Let Go. This is the trailer. This is called Don't Let Go, where the niece died, but basically she was still alive through the technology.
I prayed for a second chance to leave. Who is this?
Who do you think it is?
Where are you calling from?
I'm at my house. June 25th.
Believe it or not, I'm sitting right here. 2 weeks in the future.
You see this? Like, I just really wanted to touch on that. And like I said, I'm going to bring that Debo video too. I'm going to do a very deep breakdown on Debo and what all of that really represented. And I'm going to tap into some more knowledge, man. Y'all got to just stay tuned with me because, like I said, they're literally altering time right before our face. You know what I'm saying? But I'm actually going to end that right here. Thank you for watching Hide and Seek TV. Stay tuned. Much more is coming. Peace.